Video.
Panya.
Tanya White Deo. My road to PTSD. Tanya, my road to PTSD. Tanya White Deo.
Landed what seems like the job jackpot. Amazing location, terrific salary, and a prestigious title. Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, unfortunately, as I soon discovered, appearances can be deceiving. Working for a toxic employer who unfortunately resembled Mimi from the Drew Carey show started me on the road to post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. During the interview, my boss-to-be had warned me of her difficult personality, advising that it would take an abundance of Tums, aspirin, and even a nearby bar to cope with her demands. A red flag I foolishly ignored due to her sociable chatter. I left myself in a position where the demands of my job exceeded reasonable expectations and interfered with my basic needs like eating and sleeping. Even a simple task like going across the street for a sandwich felt insurmountable within that environment. I would leave for 10 minutes. When I checked my phone, I had 20 to 30 text messages. I also could be found at the office working from 8 a.m., leaving at 4, 5, or even 6 a.m. the next morning. I still was expected to report back to work at 8 a.m. At this point, I had to assess the situation to decide if I was going to be able to put up with this micromanaging attitude for the long haul. Even more important, was being there worth this much hassle? Mimi, as I like to call her, had little compassion for family life, even though beyond belief, she had children and a husband. My son had asthma, and one night he was with me in the office when he obviously started having an attack, a real medical need. He was laying on the carpet, writhing with his inhaler while I was trying to complete an assignment. With no conscience at all, this hard-hearted lady stood over my child, barking at me, "You're not leaving until you finish that report." It was already well past 10 p.m. In my mind, it was necessary to stand up to her and ask, if it's an ultimatum, how will the work get done if you let me go? Is someone else able to take over right now? Giving myself a resounding no, I picked up my son and I went home. This place was not worth harm to my child, who disliked this woman as much as I did. The only upside was that he learned to cook and could make a decent London broil after many nights having to fend for dinner for himself to avoid having pizza or microwave meal regularly. More than anything else, he was concerned for my well-being, seeing my physical and mental health deteriorating as this drama continued. This controlling controller always said, "Take your pain early." In other words, when you have a new task, do the hardest part first. This tip was not being offered for my good. More work would come to take up time, preventing me from doubling back on the first assignment. Since I brought in former coworkers to build my team, she constantly berated and threatened my team, demanding, "You need to fire one or more of your hand-picked subordinates and replace them with someone in here who can perform, or should I just let you go?" I asked myself, which scenario would be worse? I already knew that my supervisor had the nerve and the ability to let me go, since there was no fear in screaming and yelling at me openly at every opportunity. She was unyielding, and talking to her only made things worse. Coworkers started checking in daily with, "Are you okay?" get yelled at today? Either they had a genuine concern or there was an office poll I wasn't invited to join, which was based on the number of days in a row Mimi would chew me out or how much longer I would last. They would not help or back me up when I put in a complaint of mistreatment and abuse with the ombudsman, who helps employees in a government setting with labor issues. Those fair weather friends being afraid of my tormentor started to sound like Sergeant Stulch from Hogan's Heroes. I see nothing, I know nothing. At the end of the mediations, I ended up on the performance plan, and the climate changed since little did I know I was the one on the ropes. I quickly learned that a performance plan issued by a sadistic boss cannot be completed successfully. During the period for the demonstration of the ability to perform specific tasks and duties the best you can, Mimi made sure I was preoccupied with projects that she couldn't even complete many months earlier. Suddenly, this became a priority which only I could handle. At this point, I might as well start packing my office, and the performance plan and the extension of the performance plan was going to expire. The awful person's complaints were proven on paper since only the items on the plan were considered. Mimi took the credit for those superfluous projects. Successfully ousting me was the strike of first blood. A vicious lioness looking for its next kill. Indiscriminate terror tore through the office. Okay, maybe a little over the top. I knew which heads were going to fall, which heads were safe, which heads were going to replace me. The other managers receiving similar treatment, which was as bad or even worse, soon followed. Those without thoughts who towed the company line were spared, and my subordinate who stayed in the manager's office and allowed the occasional smack on the backside became my replacement. The providers who had given me 3 to 4 months to live, not eating, not sleeping, and stressing out after 3 years of torture, thought I died when I was able to go for 3 to 4 years without a visit. I didn't have the cozy job with good money, perfect location, and the prestige. Traded all that for my peace of mind. And I left Mimi on the other road to PTSD. Thank you, Mr. Contest Master.
The judges, timers, and ballot counters, and the chief judge will be sent to breakout rooms